I'm sure we all heard the phrase, leave the place better than when you came. Have you heard that phrase? The concept there is a really interesting concept. Basically, what it's trying to say is when you come to a place, make sure when you leave, let it look better than when you first arrived. And, some of us are really good at that, and some of us probably are not so good at that. Some of you probably learned that from your parents. Some of us probably didn't learn that from our parents. And so as I thought about that, I thought, where did that phrase come from? Now, some of you may think that it came from Ralph Waldo Emerson. That is where many people think that phrase came from. At least that's what I found in the research. But in truth, that did not come from Mr. Emerson. It came from a poet by the name of Bessie Anderson Stanley. And from what I read, and this is if Wikipedia is true, okay, I'll admit that. But if what I read was true, Mrs. Stanley entered into a magazine contest, and she won the contest for her poem called Success. Now, evidently, the contest was a competition where the question you were supposed to answer is, what is success? And a part of her poem had that line in it. Part of her understanding of success was to leave a place better than when you came. I thought about that because, like I said, I've heard that phrase before, but I love the fact that it came in a poem that was to define what success was supposed to look like. To be successful is to leave the place better than when you came. In other words, to be successful isn't about having a bigger bank account, making sure that you had the biggest house on the neighborhood, making sure your car was the fastest. Being the best means that when you come to a place, you're going to make sure that when you leave it, you have a great effect on making it better. And when I thought about that, I thought, well, place could be physical, but it could be other things as well. Leaving a person better than when you came. Finding ways to help a situation so that the situation, the climate that exists wherever it is that you entered is better than when you got there. Now, that's not a judgment on whether or not something was bad when you got there. It simply says, I'm going to move this place forward. So, as I was considering this and thinking about this idea of making things better than when we came, my mind instantly went to the creation story. And as we hear in the creation story, towards the end of chapter 1, we hear about the creation of humankind. And it says this. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Then God said, let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God, God created them. Male and female, God created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Now, that word dominion doesn't mean dominate, control. It actually means tend to. And maybe it means make better than where it was when you arrived. Find a way to care for the earth, care for God's creation. In fact, in many ways, when you read the creation story, what God is saying is to humankind, Now that I have created the beginning, I want you to take creation and I want you to make it better. I want you to be my partner in creation. And let us together make this place better than it was in the beginning. We know what happens next. We know what happens in chapter 3. Humankind doesn't make it better. Humankind tries to take control. Rather than making it better in the image of God as we are created, what happens is we begin to want to be in control. We want to be just like God. We want to have all of that for ourselves. And that is how sin enters the world. Making a place better than when it was, really honestly, is about partnering with God in creation, coming alongside God and allowing things to become even more full of the glory of God, the revelation of God. Man, that is a challenge. It's a bigger challenge than making sure you clean up your mess after you've come into somebody's house, right? It's a bigger challenge than any of that. I love this verse I found from Hebrews chapter 10. It's verses, actually 2 verses, 24 and 25. It says this: let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and goodness, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. You see, in part, that is the way in which we make place better, by spurring one another towards love and good deeds. Maybe that's our ultimate call. When God put humanity in the garden and said, I want you to have dominion over all of this, maybe that's what God was saying. Spurred by love and commitment towards one another, not only other humans, but our love and our commitment to God. Let us make this place better than when we first got here.